Yes.
Okay, I'm going to be refuting the claim that military recruiting in high schools targets unexposed and inexperienced youth. My opponent's secondary claims were, number one, military recruiting in high schools distracts students from learning or pursuing a higher education. Number two, recruitment on high school campuses results in recruits that cannot meet military standards. And number three, recruitment fails to disclose the consequences of military life. And so the major claim that was stated, I feel that there's not much dispute on it because I feel that it's obvious that high schools target unexposed and inexperienced youth because most high school students don't have any previous knowledge about the military. So my major claim is that the speaker's original claim is not supported by secondary claims, evidence, or reasoning. Okay, so like I said, her first secondary claim was military recruiting in high schools distracts students from learning or pursuing a higher education. However, some students are unable to afford or for any other reason obtain a college education. According to former Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and former Secretary of Education Rod Page, for some students, this may be the best opportunity they have to get a good college education. In addition to this, many students feel that the presence of the military recruiters encourages them to work harder and finish high school sufficiently. An example would be Andrew Morgan. He went to a public high school in Brooklyn and stated that the military's presence gave him the motivation to excel in school and work hard at everything he does. The speaker also claims that privacy for students is invaded. This is irrelevant as well as inadequate information. First off, what do privacy matters have to do with whether or not they are targeting unexposed and inexperienced youth? Second, students and their parents are allowed to deny their personal information to military recruiters, which is shown by a report done in 2003 by the Capital Times, which stated that 495 students from Madison High School had denied their personal information to any recruiters. Okay, so my opponent's secondary claim was recruitment on high school campuses results in recruits that cannot meet military standards. And this is inadequate support and evidence for her claim. The speaker claims that mental and physical disabilities increase yearly. However, the speaker fails to mention that the health benefits as well as other benefits have also increased, making situations for people involved in the military a lot better nowadays. People also understand the risks when joining the military, and disabled veterans returning home from war is inevitable. According to DisabledWorld.com, in 2008, 23.2 million people had enlisted in the military, and only 5.5 million had left with disabilities. In addition, the speaker provides some nice numbers as evidence stating how many people had seen combat, how many were wounded, and how many suffered from brain injuries. However, the speaker never provided any evidence showing that the number of people with disabilities was actually increasing. My opponent's third secondary claim was recruitment fails to disclose the consequences of the military life. And this claim is also inadequate. The speaker claims that recruitment officers often give misleading pitches. However, this is untrue in that the military holds their recruiters to being honest. According to Dean Payton, a U.S. Army spokesman, he says that the recruiters are not in any position to promise anything. We hope that all our recruiters are communicating honestly with our applicants. So, in conclusion, the major claim originally stated didn't have much dispute on it, and as well the secondary claims and the evidence and reasoning was either insufficient, inadequate, or irrelevant. Thank you.
All right, well, you cite the claim and the secondary points pretty clearly. It sounds like you're accepting the premise of the proposition instead of rejecting the proof for the proposition, so I think you want to be a little careful on your phrasing on that particular point. At one point, I thought you were simply going to argue that it wasn't an argument, but later on, it seems like you're basically arguing that it wasn't adequately supported. As you get to the individual points, you signpost them pretty clearly. On the first point, it's easy to see. I think that you've got a couple of good pieces of information to respond to this point. I'm not sure how you contrast it to what the advocate's information was on that particular point. I did like the example of the privacy issue where you have a particular case where lots of people have been able to deny military access to information in their schools, and so the notion that they're going to be able to access that information even whether or not people want it, I thought you had a pretty solid response on that point. I didn't quite understand the argument on the second point about health benefits. There's an argument about disabilities that's a little bit clearer. It seems to suggest that the likelihood that that's going to occur is relatively small or low. You give us some statistics, some information, some factual data on those sorts of things. I'm not sure that all of those, of course, are related to combat-related disabilities, and there may be other kinds of disabilities that are going on in the military as well. Like I said, the health benefits thing, I'm not sure how that advances your claim or contradicts the advocate's claim on that point. On the third point, you did have a pretty good piece of information to contradict the point, but it is general. I mean, it is really general, and I didn't hear what the advocate's evidence was on that. So, in essence, we've got the military people say, we make sure that they tell the truth. They're not in a position to promise people anything, and we expect them to tell the truth. And that sounds pretty good, but what was the evidence that the advocate presented, and why should I believe this information a little bit more? I think that needed to have a clearer contrast. All right, thank you.